What's up?
All right, folks.
Guys.
Thanks again for being here. We'll open up a little 15-minute session with Will Howard, front row, right, Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Hi, Will. It sounds like you're going to be launching balls in practice today, Coach Day said. He was asked about the downfield passing game. He said we're going to be launching balls in practice today. But seriously, get into that a little bit. I know you've said you can do it. You feel like you can throw the ball deep down the field. Can you get into that part of your game?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something we want to do and push the ball down the field. I don't think we've really done a ton of it yet, but we have the ability to do it, and I think, we're going to work it this week a lot. And if he wants to launch some balls, let's do it. Like that's fun, man. Throwing deep balls is fun. So we got to keep doing it and just keep getting better at it every day.
How do you feel physically halfway through the regular season?
Good, really good. I feel solid. I think this bye week was good to kind of get our bodies back a little bit and recover a little bit. And now we got a nice little 6-7 game stretch that we're going to go on here.
Fourth row middle, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Well, it's one thing to hear Coach Day say you can't lose a game at Ohio State, but to go through it and to kind of feel the backlash of losing a game as a Buckeye quarterback, what was that like for you over this past week plus?
Yeah, it makes it real for sure, because you can say it as much as you want, but until it happens, you feel it a little more. And we talked about we wanted to flush that game, but we're not going to forget about it, and it's going to be in the back of our head. And we're going to use it, and I feel like this is kind of the point of the season where, I'm almost glad it happened now and not at the end of the season, to where some of those issues that may have gotten swept under the rug. If we win that game, they have to get addressed, and we're really working at cleaning up every little thing that we can, and I want to be able to look back and say, this is the reason that we went on a run and won a national championship, and not, the other way around. And I think we're trying to use this, in the best way as a stepping stone, and everything is still in front of us. And I think it just, if nothing else, gives us a little more extra motivation, because now we know what it feels like, to lose a game and to walk off the field and have that feeling. And I can guarantee you none of us want to feel that again.
Over here to the right, Adam King, WBNS.
When you look back at the game film, loud environment, obviously there's a couple plays you'd like back, but how do you overall assess how you played against what is now the #1 team in the country?
I think personally, I played solid. But the end of the day, I'm not going to be satisfied with anything if we don't come out with a win. That's the only stat that matters. That's the only really thing that I'm looking at. And you could play the best game of your life, but if you don't finish it the right way, then it's really all for nothing. I think offensively we played a solid game. We can't turn the ball over. We get 2 extra possessions in the first half, and that kind of you take that away. You take some of the the home field advantage stuff away. Maybe it's a little different game, but we gotta look at it and execute a little better, and winning at the end of the day is all that matters to me. So.
Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Will, sort of an unrelated to last week's game, but this week they're honoring the 2014 national title team. As somebody who grew up in Big Ten country, do you have memories of Ohio State winning that championship 10 years ago?
Absolutely, yeah. When Cardale came in as the third string, that was cool. I mean, watching that, I watched Zeke. I obviously was probably rooting against them at the time, but you couldn't deny how good that team was, man. And now to be a part of it, and the fact that we're honoring them, I want to be able to look at that and be like, man, this should be us in 10 years or however long, coming back and getting honored, and that should be something we should look at and be like, man, I want to be able to do that too.
Tim May, Letterman Row.
Yeah, Will, I don't know if you've ever had one of those dreams that never ends, you know what I mean? It just keeps going and you don't quite get there. Did that last 6 seconds of that game, what have you just replayed in your mind over and over of what could have been a little bit different? Or, there was a lot to process there,
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, believe me, I've played it over in my head a million different times, and, what I could have done. Could I have just taken the first read and thrown it to Brandon Innes, and it's a long field goal. Do I do that? But that's taking a risk, and I wanted to get our goal. We said we wanted 15 yards, so I'm trying to get as many yards as I can. And I looked up and I saw 2 seconds left, and I got down. I thought I had enough time. do I look up a little early? Do I get down a little quicker? Believe me, like it's been nagging at me, and I'm kicking myself in every way, but at the same time, you can't let it affect the future at all. You just got to learn from it and know that if we're in that situation again, we're going to handle it differently.
You probably were never in that situation before. That's the reason I want to follow up. I mean, but now you have that in your catalog, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's just amazing. Once you think you've seen it all, you haven't, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the amount of football I've played, a situation like that, or like the 12-man thing like that, all that stuff was kind of the first time we've seen that. And, it's the game of football is cool, man, because there's a lot of different things that goes into it. And, now, we have a situation like that again. It's not gonna happen like that.
Fourth row right, Andy Backstrom, Letterman row.
Yeah, Will, Zen had to step up big time at Oregon. Just what have you seen from him over the last week and in that game even, kind of rising to the occasion on the blind side?
I think he did a hell of a job, man. He stepped in, and, obviously Jimmy was having a really good year. Really tough to see that for him. But Zen, I think, did a really good job. And, coming in a game like that on the road in that environment, like he handled it really well. And, going forward, he's got to be the guy, so we're trying to just, instill as much confidence in him as we can. And, we believe in him. He's got to be that guy, and he's got to have that mindset of, hey, I'm a starting left tackle now in the Big Ten, and like, hey, let's go. And I think Zen could be he's one of those guys that, he decided to come to Ohio State. He could probably be a starter at a lot of other places, but he wanted to be here and be part of the brotherhood. And now he's getting a chance to step in and be the guy. And I'm excited for him, man. I think it's going to be a heck of a challenge.
Front row right, Austin Ward, the podcast.
Well, you said you talked about having that fire lit after the game, and maybe this came at the right time in some ways for you guys. Mm-hmm. How would you describe the way practice went last week?
Last week?
Yeah.
I mean, you could feel it. It was a little pissed off. I think obviously with the bye week being after, that game, we were trying to be smart, and, some of the ones were taking some reps off. But, I think overall the mindset was just kind of like, we can't let that happen again, and more of a motivated, kind of pissed off, ticked off mentality. And I think, it starts from the top. I think, the coaches definitely brought it a little more last week. And I mean, not that they weren't, but like, man, I mean, you kind of realize, it's, man, you're human, and things happen. And, and we didn't want to have to learn in this way, but, we can't change the past, and it happened, man. So like, we gotta bounce back from it and use it for good now. And, there's no way to go back and change the game. All we got to do is look forward and, run the table, win out, and see him again in Indy. And that's all we can hope for.
Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
You probably watched that last play, probably seen the, screenshot even. Is it it looked like you were down with 1 second to go. Is that your?
I thought I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was down with 1 second, but, they didn't feel like clearing the field of all the kids that were already on it. So, it's tough, but we always talk about leaving no doubt. So, I probably should have gotten down even quicker to make sure that we didn't leave any doubt there.
Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatch.
You talked about maybe home field advantage factored in. You've played in a lot of tough environments. I'm just curious where Outson ranked.
It was up there, man. I'm not gonna lie. They brought it. It was. I was saying before the game, it was pretty similar to K-State, like just the feel. For me, like I thought it was a smaller stadium, but it got loud. I don't know what it was about the shape of the stadium, but it got very loud on the field, especially down there at the end. I think the fact that it was a really good game the whole time kind of kept them in it. And credit to them, man. They had a good atmosphere. It was a tough place to play. I think, you take some of that stuff out of the picture. Being at a neutral site, or if we were at home, maybe it's a different outcome. But I was impressed. I'm not gonna lie. It was a loud place to play.
You said you haven't really unleashed the deep ball, at least maybe in practice. That hasn't been a focus. Is there a reason why? Do you think it's just you wanted to get the basics in and then work from there? Or?
Yeah. No, I know. I don't think it's anything in particular. I think, part of it is, it's not that we haven't worked on it in practice. We worked on it in practice a ton. It's just we haven't really shown it, I don't think, in the game a ton. I think part of it is that we got some dudes on the outside that can fly, and people are worried about that, and they stay up over the top of us. And so then you can take some stuff underneath, and I think other than that, I think some of it we didn't really need until maybe a little later. Now we're getting into conference play, and we want to be able to push the ball down the field in a lot of different ways, and I think we're just going to continue to get better at it, and it's not something that we're super up in arms about or worried about. We just need to keep grinding on it and take it one play at a time.
Bill Landis, Kings of the North.
Well, you touched on it a couple of questions ago, but what's your role as the quarterback when you have a new starter stepping in like Zen is? Are you talking to him more than you would talk to guys normally? Or are you trying to balance, pumping him up without overwhelming him about sort of his changing job description?
Yeah, definitely. As a leader on the team, as somebody who's kind of been in the starter role now for a little bit, that's a guy definitely that this week, and you want to instill confidence in, but you don't want to make it feel fake. It's I don't want to just go over to Zen every day and be like, hey man, you got this. That feels corny. It's got to be real, man. It's got to be hey, he does something at practice that's good. Stay on him. Hey, that's a great job, man. Or even maybe just pushing him a little bit, and because we need him. And I think he's been doing a great job and stepped in and did some good things during the bye week, and I'm excited to see how he grows, man, because he's a really good dude, and I think he's gonna do some really good things.
Fourth row left, Tony Girdman, Buckeye Huddle.
Well, with the deep ball, what is the key to making that happen in the game if the coverage isn't, if there are two safeties staying back? How do you
You don't throw it.
Yeah.
So just don't throw it.
And so what's the key then to when that's not there, throwing a good deep ball?
It's all about what the defense gives you. If the defense isn't giving you the deep ball, you're not going to throw it. And if they want to stay back and play 2-3 safeties deep and not put anyone in the box, then we're going to hurt you with that, or we're going to hit stuff underneath you. And I think the fact that they have to respect that and stay so far off of us is why we've had some success in the intermediate game. And I think it really is just about kind of what taking what the defense gives you and not forcing anything deep, but making sure that you hit on those shots when they are there.
Right behind him. Last question, Noah Weiskopf, the Lantern.
Well, you've been able to look ahead at all to Nebraska. They're coming off a tough loss, but what have you seen out of them so far?
Yeah, they run an interesting defense. They run a little 3-3-5 defense. It's actually pretty similar to what I went against at K-State. So I'm excited for the challenge. I think they got a good team. I know they're going to be hungry after last week. It's going to be a good challenge, and I think they got some young guys that are doing some good things, and it'll be fun. It'll be a good challenge back at home and get the ball back rolling again.
We do have one more. Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Kind of following up on Bill's question there. How aware are you when there's substitutions, especially on your offensive line, in the middle of a game? I know.
Very. Yeah. Very.
Okay. So, are you having those conversations with guys in game when Austin has to go in there and now he's your right guard, or with obviously you're talking about with Zen at the same time? Are those conversations you're having on the sideline, and how does that maybe impact how you might approach some things on the field because you're aware that there's two guys who are not necessarily always starters?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it affects any way that I kind of go about anything, but am I aware of it? Yes. Do I want to address it and say something to those guys? Yeah, I want to. When Zen came in, we didn't even have a chance on the sideline. I just kind of went up to him, and maybe it's just a quick word of encouragement, hey man, I believe in you. Let's do this. That's kind of what I just said to Zen. You got this, man. Let's go. And that was it. And, whether it's Austin or Tegra out there, whoever it is, man, just little words of encouragement, man, hey, let's go. We got you. We need you. Maybe something quick on the sideline, going over, just reassuring those guys. It's a little quicker in game. You're not really thinking about it as much, but, just little things to kind of keep those guys going.
Is that different than maybe how you would handle it when a guy's, when Austin stepped in for Donovan? That's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Versus very quickly in a game.
Definitely. It's a different conversation, but at the same time, it's, you always want to be ready. You always say you want to be ready to play, but you may treat that one a little differently and just spend a little more time with someone if they, weren't really preparing to be in.
Great. Will, thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Go Bucks.
Thanks,